This is Alex Howard from O'Reilly Media here in the FCC's Tech Center and headquarters in Washington. And we're here at the end of the Apps Hackathon. They actually had an open data hackathon here at the FCC today. And sitting across from me is one of the well-known life hackers around, Gina Trapani, who has been blogging for quite a while and coding away too. And she was part of the developers here working away. So how was the day?
It was a lot of fun. Today was really fun. If you would have told me that I was going to fly to DC and come to big scary FCC to sit in a room with a bunch of other coders and make stuff, I would have told you were crazy. But I got to do that today, and it was a lot of fun.
Now, the room was kind of unusual too. It's the FCC Commission room, so it's the same place I saw the FCC talk about net neutrality. It's we've got the big podiums, and it seemed like they set it up in a little bit of a different way today.
They did. Normally all the, there's a big dais, and normally all the chairs are facing forward, but today there were tables with extension cords in the middle, lots of plugs. Everyone came with their laptop and sat in circles and more collaborating. It was really a collaborative environment.
And as people collaborated, worked together, I think over 100 people came together. There's a bit of a die-off as people moved on to do other things over the course of the day, but they came up with, I think, 3 different applications presented on at the end. But you were working on something else altogether that you actually didn't present on. For people who have been keeping track, you joined something called Expert Labs and have been working on this application that allows government to ask questions and get answers back. What is it? What does it do?
Yeah, so it's called ThinkUp, and I'm the project director at Expert Labs, which is part of the AAAS here in DC. And ThinkUp is an application that tries to get feedback from citizens in the places where they already are, so social networks like Facebook and Twitter and eventually other places. I mean, I think it's great that the .gov sites are available and awesome and offer all sorts of information, but it's also kind of good to get into people's news feeds where where they're interacting every day. And that's what ThinkUp does. It gathers your conversations on social networks and helps, hopefully the goal is to help policymakers use the expertise of their citizens and come up with new ideas, during their research that they may not have had access to.
You've started to roll that app now. People can go to thinkupapp.com and download it, install it if they've got the expertise. One organization that's already done that is Code for America. Seems like they've customized it. How are they using it?
They're using it to gather ideas for their work. Code for America is a fantastic organization, and actually it's fantastic. They're coders, obviously, so they get to contribute to the project as well. It's an open source project, so our whole community is mostly volunteers, and they've been using it to track conversations about their various campaigns. So that's been really a lot of fun, and they customized it to look really nice and integrate with their site as well.
Cool. Well, so that's a bit of a flavor of the app that you were working on, which is great. So
thanks for the plug.
Yeah. Well, no, it's important. I mean, you were here to code. You coded away, and worked with other people in Expert Labs who are here to be with you to do that. So the thing that the larger group of people there are working on several different projects. I think the first one we saw was actually involved with geolocation using the latitude and longitude, and it looked like it had some kind of use in terms of a speed test for people to examine how much of their broadband service they're actually getting. Is that right?
Yeah. So the FCC has exposed this API that lets you see broadband speed test data for a given location. And HTML5 offers the ability to know where your computer is. So when you plug your computer into a network somewhere, your browser knows, hey, you're in the DC area, or you're in the New York area. So these developers, it's this really clever, simple, useful app, said, okay, I'm going to automatically detect where you are and then check to see what your broadband speed test results were. So if you're traveling, and this works on your mobile phone as well, if you're traveling or if you're just in a different space and you want to see what the speed tests are versus the kind of upload download speeds you're getting, you can do that.
And it sounded like they used HTML5 to do that too, right?
Yeah, the location awareness in the browser is an HTML5 feature, so that was really cool.
Yeah, you can use it on any mobile device then too.
Yeah, it's smartphones that have sort of modern browsers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an important consideration. So the second one was actually designed looked for one application provider, I should say, the biggest in the block. That's the iPhone, and they're talking about combining web services. And Ted Drake from Yahoo talked a bit about that. What were they up to?
Yeah, I believe that they were, so it was an iPhone app so you could query RFN. So now you probably understand more what an RFN is. It's the people who have a contract. This is also data that the FCC has exposed that's available for developers. In this iPhone app, you could search on a place and see all of the the service providers that have contracts there. And they demoed it on an iPhone app, but they made it a web service so that any mobile app could use it.
I mean, what I basically saw is that if you're trying to see who actually has licenses in the area, you can query that, and it'll actually notice where you are.
Yes.
Simple, straightforward thing. If you need to find licensing information, you can.
Yep.
And that's built upon the FCC's open data and their APIs, which is great kind of basic use. The thing that they couldn't do, from what I gathered, was add in the census information. Just ran out of time. Something that happens at hackathons.
Yeah. They combined all these APIs together, so you could just make one call and get all that data in one, which is important, especially when you're on a mobile device. You don't want to make a bunch of API calls.
Sure.
But the Yahoo folks managed to pull it off in one day, which is really impressive.
Yeah, churning along.
Yeah.
It sounds like they leveraged a lot of their external developer resources too. That was the one anecdote, reaching out to the inventor of PHP. It's just a handy thing to be able to do.
It's nice when you know the inventor of PHP and you can just kind of ping them on IM and say, hey, can you help us debug this thing? And it sounds like they did that today. So
not a bad thing. Well, this is where you can use the distributed network available to you through the internet to do stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, the whole event today was live streamed, so anyone really could virtually attend, which is really cool.
And listen in. I think if you look at FCC Dev Day, the hashtag on Twitter, you can see the conversation there.
Yep.
And so the last app was actually tying together something you're pretty familiar with. It's Google Analytics. If people know about Google, they probably heard about you at this point in some way or another. So what was the story there? It involved a pretty innovative mapping technology called Mapbox.
Yeah, Mapbox is a cool way to make pretty good-looking maps and pipe information into those maps. And so this developer had a blog who doesn't get very many visitors, but a few thousand a year, and he took the visitors' locations, the locations of the people who visit his blog, and mapped this on this really cool kind of dark world map with like points everywhere, and you could see where people were coming from, which was nice. He said the whole point is making the data look cool, and he really did. It was nicer than a standard Google map.
Very cool. So is this all about making the data look cool? Is it about apps? Is it about a contest? What were your kind of big takeaways about the significance of there being this kind of hackathon at the FCC today?
I feel like this event today was less about what came out of it and more just about the fact that the FCC was hosting this kind of event. I think that for a lot of developers who's kind of out of the loop or not in this area or not kind of consciously about Gov 2.0 aren't really aware of the data that's available and the APIs that are available. And I think that maybe you think about the FCC, depending on where you are in the world and what your issues are, you think of different things, regulations, net neutrality, that kind of thing. But to open things up and to invite developers in and say, hey, look at this this interesting information that this agency can give you, and you can make cool things with it. I think that's amazing. And the fact that the FCC opened their doors today and invited developers in to do just that, I think was a huge cultural shift, great branding shift for the FCC, and I'm really glad that they did that, and I can't wait to come back.
That's a pretty positive review. I mean, this is about bringing geeks into work with government, some sort of level of co-creation. Is that the thing?
Yeah, I do. I think that it was exactly that. There's a lot of learning. There's also this just like building of community. So I think today was just really launching a new community of people who are care and interested in the same thing. So a lot of today was about learning. I didn't know about a lot of the APIs available, and we had the FCC had a lot of support from Yahoo, and a lot about just meeting people who are doing interesting things. I saw this amazing demo by a company that makes apps for Android, accessibility apps for Android. So gesture-based navigation on touchscreens and screen readers. It was really all kind of new stuff to me. It was really, really cool to see. So it's just kind of about sharing knowledge and getting to know people. So I think this is just kind of the beginning. I think that an event like this could really take off.
Yeah.
I hope there are more.
Well, it certainly seems like there's a need. I mean, one thing that became clear when the president signed the 21st Century, I think, Disability Act. I might be getting the name wrong, but it's essentially saying that we need to make digital services accessible to all citizens. And for people who aren't aware, there are lots of our fellow citizens who are blind, who have other issues navigating the web that's being created. And when there aren't appropriate measures or code built into the things, they can't experience things in the same way that we can. And I think it's forgotten, but that law certainly highlights it. And I know that at least part of the focus here today was bringing those issues to the fore and integrating them into how the government's using technology on some level. I saw a number of people who quite clearly were fully capable citizens, but also were disabled in some way. And I think that bringing them into the conversation is something I frankly haven't seen at a hackathon like this before, and that was an important element. In the larger context, you think hackathons are a good way to get this kind of data working?
I think that I think that this is a great model to get people together in a collaborative way, and especially to bring in outside companies like bringing in Yahoo, bringing in outside engineers to kind of integrate with what's available out there and kind of matching up the different sources of data and different APIs. Great idea. I think that this is a start. Next time I want it to be 2 days.
Awesome. Well, we'll see if the chairman feels good about inviting everyone in.
You think he'll let us sleep under the desks overnight?
For a
What
whole
do you
weekend
think?
or not. We'll see how it goes. Well, thanks again for talking with me for a little bit.
Thanks
And
for
for people who are interested, there's an International Data Conference here in Washington next week. You can see more at data.gov/conference. And there's also an International Open Data Hackathon happening on December 4th all around the world, and you can get more information from David Eves up in Canada about that. I'm Alex Howard from O'Reilly Media at Digifile on Twitter, and you can follow her at Gina Trapani. Thank you.